All right, this is our next episode in our retro pay-per-view series of True Wrestling Fans. I'm your host, Mike.
And I'm Frank, and let's just jump right into
Uh,
this. WrestleMania 9,
yep.
Las Vegas, Nevada. This was the first outdoors one they did. So this
Yeah.
was kind of new to them. And, just under 17,000 fans, 16,891 came out to see this. It was what they call it, the world's biggest toga party.
Yeah, at Caesar's Palace. And
Yeah. And they started this whole thing at the Royal Rumble. Everybody knows Yokozuna won it, so now he's on to the main event. And no celebrities at this one, which kind of bothered me a little bit considering what they just came off of WrestleMania 8, the huge spectacle in the Hoosier Dome. And yeah, that was a little,
well, they did have Cleopatra and Alexander, right? And
yeah,
none
sure.
Caesar.
Yeah, yeah, two guys just, well, it was Vegas.
Uh,
For all we know, we could have had
so
Elvis and what's the other guy? Can't remember his name, the performer. Oh, well, doesn't matter. Wayne Newton, there you go. We
wait,
could
no,
have had
yeah.
Wayne Newton there too. Slots at the ringside. Bobby Heenan could have been playing and probably won some money. Well, I want to bring this one up because it wasn't part of the pay-per-view card, but we've been talking about this during WrestleMania streaks, how poor Tito Santana, after WrestleMania 1, constantly for the next 7, lost every WrestleMania match he had. Now, unfortunately, this one wasn't aired. This was before it started. But Tito Santana fought Papa Shango in an 8-minute match, and I'm happy to say in his final WrestleMania appearance, he won.
The final the streak. He broke the streak.
I couldn't believe it, and I really wish they would have put him on the card for this to happen because, I mean, even though they weren't tracking WrestleMania streaks at the time, and I don't know if anybody had caught this, keeping count, watching WrestleMania over the years, but I mean, 1-7, and you're going into this match, and you gave him the victory over Papa Shango. Yeah, I would have added. This is almost like Big Show's streak, who never had won, not even really a singles title.
Yeah.
He never. I don't think he ever won a singles match period until he beat Cody Rhodes. So I mean, this is something along those lines, and it would have just been nice to see it televised
Yeah, they
and
should
all
have.
of his
Yeah.
response. But the opening match for WrestleMania 9 was for the Intercontinental Championship. It was Shawn Michaels, and this was his actually third attempt facing this man, the undefeated Native American Tatanka.
Tatanka, yep.
And if you remember, it was a couple of Monday Night Raws leading up to WrestleMania that Shawn Michaels lost. Remember, he lost a tag team match where he was pinned. And then it was another one that I think it was disqualification. But
I'm not
Shawn
sure. I
Michaels
remember.
had now dropped his second match to Tatanka. It even could have, I believe, it could have been a non-title match where he maybe pinned him. But in any event, Shawn Michaels defended the title against the Native American Tatanka. Luna Vachon, if you remember, came to ringside with Shawn because this
Yeah.
is at the time that Sherry was no longer in his corner. And Sherry actually came down to be in
Scary
Tatanka's
Sherry.
corner.
Yeah, but that
Yeah.
you know why that happened, right? Because had just gotten canned. Jannetty was
Oh,
supposed to be
yeah.
involved in that match. He wasn't supposed to fight. He was supposed to fight Shawn, but he was supposed to be involved in the match. But he got fired because he was either drunk or high or fell
Yeah,
asleep. Somebody ratted him out too. It was one of the boys.
it was Shawn
No, that not that time. It wasn't Shawn that
at the
time.
Rumble.
No. This is a couple weeks before WrestleMania.
Oh, this happened to man. This guy got fired more times than Billy
Yeah,
Martin.
yeah. This is another time he got fired. Yeah, so
Oh
that's
Lord.
why we got Sherry in there.
Well, we'll discuss the second termination when we
Mm,
get to the Rockers
yeah,
episode. But in any event, Sherry comes down and Luna just beat her senseless. And Tatanka wins the match by countout, doesn't win the title, which is a shame because again, we've
yeah.
said at least the mid card title should have been put on him. I mean, he was a fantastic performer, and I mean Shawn Michaels at this point had it a while. So
Bruce Pritchard said that the reason why Tatanka never got a title or a major push was that he said that the fans never really got behind him, which
I don't
I,
agree with
I
that.
don't agree with. I think he was over. So I don't know. But he said they
Yes,
had
he was.
plans. They said they had plans for him to push him even to the WWF title, they said they had plans at one point. I don't know.
Uh,
I thought it was a good match though.
Yes, it was. Every match those 3 matches that they had, the 2 on Raw and the 1 on WrestleMania, was
Hmm.
pretty good.
Yeah.
And it's just a shame the feud ended there.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, the only thing was that they protected Tatanka's undefeated streak and they also protected Shawn from losing the
Shawn to
belt.
keep the belt.
So,
Yes. So in any event, we move on to our second match. it was the Steiner brothers making their WrestleMania debut, fresh off leaving WCW in the end of '92, beginning of '93, because they were at the Rumble too, facing the Head Shrinkers, Samu and Fatu. Now, this match was a good 14 minutes, 22 seconds. It was a good tag team match between the two teams. And they had fought before in WCW. The Samoan SWAT team and the Steiners had gotten on. Part of the great 89-90 tag team at one time that the tag team division that WCW had. The Steiner brothers actually beat the Head Shrinkers. So they were on the fast track to what I believe at that point ended happened to the WWE Tag Team Championship.
That's right. And the thing was that Scott had initially been approached to go solo, but he didn't want to split up with Rick. Otherwise, they had plans for him to win the '93 Royal Rumble and go on to WrestleMania to either face the Warrior or the Hitman. So had Warrior not gotten fired, in '92, and
but would Hogan still have done the same thing?
It's a good question. Yeah, who knows? Who knows?
Especially the Scott Steiner, who was
who knows?
An up and comer. I mean, going back to what you said there. I mean, the Steiners, they were a tag team for a couple of years because if everybody remembers, Rick and Scott, when they first came into NWA, they weren't a tag team. Mm-hmm. Rick was part of the Varsity Club, and Scott Steiner was doing his solo thing, and it wasn't until the end of '89 that they finally paired the two together when the Varsity Clubs broke up. And so that's where their success started. So I agree with what the plan was with Yokozuna. I think it would have been way too soon for Scott Steiner, considering the only match he was involved in prior to this. If he went to the Royal Rumble, he fought the Beverly Brothers. But if you put him in his very first pay-per-view match and he's actually now going to win the Rumble, I think that would have been too soon. I don't think the fans would have known what to make of it.
Yeah, I think so too. But
especially where at least Yokozuna fought at the Survivor Series the prior year and several house shows in the summertime leading up to it. So the fans kind of knew who he was, where Scott Steiner just freshly comes in and it's like, okay, I knew this guy from somewhere, but he is already the top guy.
Right, exactly.
So from there now we go to, I don't even think I watched this match when I was a kid. I think I just kind of went and got a snack during this match because it didn't make any sense, this feud. Doink and Crush. Now, everybody remembers, if you don't, real quick, the Superstars episodes, Doink would come out during Crush's matches, giving flowers to the fans and playing the practical jokes until finally that one episode, if anybody doesn't remember, where he had his arm supposedly in a cast and he takes the flower from him and says, to Crush and says, "I'm sorry." Crush gives it to a fan and all of a sudden Doink is attacking him with the fake arm. Mm-hmm. I thought this was a step down for Crush, to be honest, especially how you pushed him kind of through 1992. I mean, I don't agree with him facing a guy like Doink.
I don't know.
Especially the gimmick didn't click with me either, especially when they made him even a fan favorite, Doink and Dink. I never liked it. And that's where I think Bischoff had said later on in a quote, WWE's characters are very cartoonish.
Right.
And this was a perfect example. And this was an 8-minute, 28-second match. And to add insult to injury on this one, Doink gets the win.
Yeah.
If you remember the double Doinks. And I just, at this point, did they lose faith in Crush?
I guess they. No, well, because he had fought Sean.
King of the Ring. Yeah, he fought the next 93, the King of the Ring. He fought Sean in the Intercontinental title match.
Yeah. So they hadn't really given up on him because he's still.
I thought almost they did, especially giving him the loss to a clown. No pun intended.
Yeah.
So the next match after that, I really didn't understand, and this is one of those throw-togethers. It was former WWE champion Bob Backlund making his return after 9-year absence from the ring, because after he lost his title to Iron Sheik, he was in 1983. Mm-hmm. 84, he did a few house shows, but it was pretty much over for him. He was making his return to the WWE, and he faced the bad guy, Razor Ramon.
Yeah.
Now Ramon is on a heck of a hot streak at this point, coming off Survivor Series against Savage and Perfect, his WrestleMania title match with Bret Hart. And now you get who Bob Backlund referred to him, Bobby Heenan referred to him as Opie Taylor.
Yeah.
And this was a very short match, 3 minutes, 45 seconds. Razor just dominated the match and got the win for his first WrestleMania win. I mean, you could credit it that they put him against the former WWE champion, but at the same time, you're putting him up against a 43-year-old man who's come back for after a 9-year absence, and I just think they could have did something better with him.
Yeah, they definitely could have given him a better match. The reason why it was so short was Razor was injured. I think his knee was messed up, so they just wanted him to go in there really quick and have the match. But either way, why was he even facing Bob Backlund in WrestleMania? It doesn't make any sense.
I mean, what comes to mind would be crushing Razor. I mean, if anything, if you're going to throw together a match, throw two young guys in the ring that are hungry, that'll at least give you something. I mean, Bob Backlund still had the stamina. We all saw the Royal Rumble where he was down to the final 3, and everybody thought he was going to win it when he came in at number 2. And so, I mean, the stamina was no question. It was just a washout for an up-and-comer like Razor Ramon.
Yeah.
So now from there, we go to the WWE Tag Team title match, which is another match to me that took away from a tag team, in my opinion. It was Money Incorporated, Ted DiBiase and IRS defending the tag titles against Hulk Hogan and Brutus the Barber Beefcake. Now, Beefcake had finally come back in an attempt to come back in the ring. It was a couple of months prior to this. And this is where they had the incident where Money Inc. was going to smash his face with the briefcase. You remember, Jimmy Hart now was no longer managing Money Inc. at this point because he was against what they did to Beefcake. And when they hit him with the briefcase, we all know his face wasn't going to explode. I mean, it's good for the storyline, but realistically, you know it's not going to happen. Now Jimmy Hart is in Brutus's corner, and now Brutus is telling them, I've got somebody that's coming to return. And believe it or not, it was Hulk Hogan. And again, it was good for the return if it was just a one and done. But for the tag titles, you kind of know Hogan and Beefcake were not going to win it. And this match, it ended by disqualification. So Money Inc. they won by DQ. Hogan and Beefcake got disqualified. And you remember at the end of the match, they open up the briefcase. They find a brick in there, but there's some money and some tax pages and whatnot. I'm pretty sure Hogan pocketed the money.
Probably, yeah. I mean, I don't know. I didn't care for that match, that whole thing, and Hogan coming back and the way that he did. And I understand the whole Jimmy Hart thing. I know that later on you find out that Jimmy Hart and Hulk Hogan are like best friends.
Best friends, yeah.
But as far as storyline, Hulk Hogan was never friends with Jimmy Hart ever in his career. And then all of a sudden,
feuds with his boys, but he never.
Right. And then all of a sudden they're together, and I didn't get it. I'm like, that never made any sense to me.
And that transitioned over to WCW.
Right.
And now even to this day, if you see on Facebook Hogan going live at his shop in Florida, Jimmy Hart's always there.
Yeah.
So I mean, definitely best friends, but at the time the storyline just didn't make any sense.
Yeah, no.
And especially Hogan coming back for a mid-card tag title match. But then we found out there were other plans in motion. We'll get to that in a minute. Yeah. Anyway, but the match ran 18 minutes, 27 seconds. Money Incorporated keeps their tag titles. So from there, we move on to I like this feud, and I wish they would have ran with this for a while. It was Mr. Perfect versus Lex Luger, the narcissist. And I really like those two in the ring. I think they did a great job. The timing was right. And everything, and you had told me something in regards to this match at one point with Mr. Perfect and Luger once the match started.
Yeah, Luger. I mean, Perfect told him that he forgot what to do. He forgot the match.
Yeah, I think maybe he was ribbing him.
I think he was ribbing him probably.
Because I mean, Perfect was always one of those guys that would
he loved to rip people.
Oh yeah, him and Owen were the best at it. Mm-hmm. And this match was about 10 minutes, 56 seconds. Luger beats Perfect. We all know how. The referee's back was turned. He hits him with the forearm.
The steel plate,
to use the police plate, and he knocks him out. And that's actually where, before that match, they were talking about that Luger had knocked out Bret Hart at the press conference.
Right, the day before.
And so this match escalated. They actually went to the back. And Perfect finds Luger. And Luger's talking to Shawn Michaels. And this didn't make any sense to me. Because Perfect's got beef with Luger, they're continually getting into it, and for whatever reason, Shawn Michaels jumps in on it, and Luger runs away. And now these two are going
right. Yeah, this is your next feud. Go get it.
Yeah, and this technically didn't even start for another 4 months when they fought at SummerSlam.
Yeah,
So it's like they didn't even start off with the feud. It looked like it was going
And
to
then,
happen, and then it just stopped.
well, no, because doesn't Perfect cost Shawn Michaels the Intercontinental title? He throws the towel in his face, and Marty Jannetty rolls him up on
Yeah,
Raw.
actually, you're right. So yeah,
Yeah,
okay. So
yeah.
I
After that,
forgot
yeah,
that, and then Jannetty got his just dessert when Diesel cost him the Intercontinental title, and Shawn
right,
won it back.
right.
So no, there was never like technically a clean bout against those
Yeah,
two. Maybe
no.
at the Rumble, but not that time. So now from there, you go to the two big behemoths, The Undertaker versus Giant Gonzalez. And
Oh
if
God.
everybody remembers, Giant Gonzalez had made his debut. He wasn't in the Rumble, but Harvey Whipple
Yeah.
brought him out. Now, if you remember, Whippleman always had a problem with The Undertaker because The Undertaker was just going through his boys
His
like
guys, yeah.
nothing. He went through Kamala. He went through. Remember, he was his Sid Justice's final match,
Yeah.
and Harvey was still his manager. So Harvey didn't like the fact that he was losing his boys to the Undertaker. So he brings out this big
Brings him.
7'6" guy. I remember the expression Damien Demento, and if nobody remembers him, don't worry about it. Was at ringside. Wouldn't even get in the ring. Was standing at ringside. He was the next entrance in the Rumble, and they're just having the classic stare down.
Mm-hmm.
And Undertaker's a big boy, and he's not backing down from Gonzalez. And he took the beating that he could, and he still got up. He still did his Undertaker thing. However, he showed that he was semi-mortal because he was limping away. And this led up to their WrestleMania 9 match, and Undertaker beat him, but it was a 7-minute, 33-second match. And, you remember they had the chloroform incident.
Yeah. Undertaker hates that match, by the way.
Oh, I don't blame him.
Every time you bring up Giant Gonzalez, he gets upset.
He rolls his eyes.
Yeah.
And he's a little disgusted. And quite frankly, I don't blame him because this is one of his weaker WrestleMania matches.
Yeah. He had a cool entrance, though. The entrance was cool with the vulture.
Yes, coming out on the chariot.
That was cool. They had the whole chloroform thing, which I guess the crowd didn't even know what was going on. Us watching on pay-per-view, we know because they keep telling us, what does that smell? It's chloroform, but the crowd doesn't even know.
They couldn't even get the word out. It was like
chloroform. I think it's chloroform. Yeah, I think it's chloroform.
That was Randy Savage's worst commentating, in my opinion, ever. Because when they talked about, Jim Ross was talking about Giant Gonzalez, how he can palm a Buick. Savage comes out, he can palm the ring.
Yeah.
And I'm just like, Randy, shut up.
Yeah, Savage did. Yeah, Jim Ross's debut.
Yes. And I really believe they could have did it with just Jim Ross and Bobby Heenan. The funny moment with Savage, going back to the beginning, it was when Bobby Heenan comes in on the camel and falls off. Randy Savage pulls up his toga and gives the thumbs up with a smile, which I thought was cool. But his comment, he was never really good on commentary. And if you remember Randy Savage had pitched an idea to Vince McMahon a year prior for him to have a year-long feud leading up to WrestleMania 9 against Shawn Michaels. And he was willing to take the loss to Shawn, but he wanted to have this big, I guess maybe even one final feud, if whatnot.
Right.
And Shawn was on board with it, and Savage was on board with it, but Vince just didn't see it. He said Shawn didn't need it. I think Savage needed it, to be honest, because I really believe he should have been at WrestleMania 9 and not in the commentary booth.
So instead, he gets crushed a year later.
Oh boy.
So
that will be a WrestleMania 10, and that was just no.
But for as bad as this match was, though, I did like when Undertaker came back from the locker room and Paul Bear's trying to hold him back. That was great. That was good.
And no eyes and Bobby Heenan yelling, he's not human.
Yeah, that was that was good. That was good.
And Giant Gonzalez is now like he hears the he's all smiles. He hears the gong now, and his look was just like, what the hell? And he sees him come back, and now he's a little freaked.
Yep. And what was up with that costume?
With the fur on there,
the muscle suit with the
fur, the full body suit. I don't know because they didn't do this to Giant Gonzalez when he was El Gigante in WCW.
Yeah,
he actually wore wrestling tights and boots.
Right.
And he was more agile than he was in this.
Right.
I don't understand that costume. I don't understand the gimmick. And it was short lived. He was only there 9 months before he finally gave it up.
Then they had that classic rematch at SummerSlam '93.
Oh yeah, now you don't even have the fur on the suit; it just comes with the suit.
So they didn't give up on the feud. As bad as it was, they didn't give up on it.
But by that
It's
point,
the
Giant Gonzalez just didn't look like he was even in shape for this match.
yeah.
It was just something that looked off at him in London. And I'm sorry, not in London, in WrestleMania 93, SummerSlam 93, if I get my stuff right. And I mean, the feud was good for a giant guy over the.
It
Now
started
the
good.
Undertaker's kind of
it started good.
yeah.
No.
The Undertaker kind of looks like the underdog, like it did with Great Khali, but it ended the same way.
Yeah.
Same way, both feuds ended the same way. It's just not good.
Yeah.
Started out great, but then just hit rock bottom. So now we go to, I guess you could say, the first half of our double main event, even though it was the main event of the card. Bret Hart defending the WWE Championship against Royal Rumble winner Yokozuna.
Yeah.
And if anybody knows the Inoue family, this was a proud moment for them, because if you know, he had a tremendous number of his family in attendance for this, to see him win this title. And it was an 8-minute, 55-second match, which I thought was a little short for a title match.
Well, do you know what happened? Yokozuna. It's funny how Bobby Heenan keeps saying, he's not tired. He's not tired. Yokozuna was completely gassed, and he told Bret it's time to go home. And apparently Bret was livid about this, so they cut the match short. There was still some Bret Hart spots they were supposed to do. He was pissed, so he just scrambles. He gets him in the sharpshooter, and Fuji got caught off guard, because you see Fuji, he's looking around, and you can see Bret telling him to throw the salt, because he was confused, because he thought
he mouthed it. Yeah, you can see it.
Yeah, because there was still a whole match, still parts of the match they didn't do yet. So then he takes the salt out, which was really baby powder, and he throws it in his face,
and just rolls him up.
It's not like he didn't even leg drop him. At least
that would have been cool. At least do your finisher.
Right.
Even the bonsai drop would have been nice.
He just rolls him up. 1, 2,
yeah,
3.
like the salt is gonna allow Bret not to kick out. I mean, we've seen Bret take tremendous beatings and kick out.
Come on. And
I didn't like the ending of that.
No, it was a terrible ending. The match should have gone on longer. It was a bad ending. And then I don't want to go too off topic. Their WrestleMania 10 ending wasn't even any better than that, but we'll go over that.
I think it was worse.
It was actually. It
was way worse. And we'll get to that in WrestleMania 10.
But yeah, and apparently Bret didn't know until like a day or two before that he was losing the belt. He didn't know. They told him at the last minute, and they're like, "Oh yeah, by the way, we have this plan with Hulk Hogan."
Yes, Hogan went to Vince the night before and told him, "Hey, brother, I got this idea about coming out after Yokozuna wins the title. Let me come out and challenge him and let me win it."
Yeah.
And Vince, who's the Hogan guy, said, "Let's do it."
Yeah, and you know how they sold it to everybody? They told them, "Well, we're going on this European tour, so if Hogan is the champion on the European tour, we'll sell more tickets." Now, listen to what happens. When they do go on that European tour, Hogan wasn't even the champion anymore. Yokozuna beat him. The European tour was in the summer. It was in July and August.
Yeah, and by June, Hogan was already gone.
Right. So he did go on the tour, but he wasn't the champion on the tour.
No, he had one match on the tour and one house show match after King of the Ring,
whatever it was,
and that was against Money Inc. again.
Right. So
it was Hogan and Beefcake against Money Inc. So now, it was one stop in the European tour and one house show at the Garden after King of the Ring, and that was it.
But not only that, if you know anything about Bret Hart's career, Bret Hart was a rock star in Europe.
Oh yeah.
So him going to Europe as the champion actually made more sense. Case in point,
you saw the year prior at Wembley Stadium.
It made more sense.
Even though they were booing him because of the Bulldog, they still cheered him. Yeah. It was kind of 50-50.
Yeah. So that whole thing about Hogan, that was just Hogan playing politics. And, he ends up, and we'll get into this when we probably go over Bret Hart's career. He ends up telling him, "Oh, yeah, thanks, brother. I appreciate everything. Don't worry. I'm gonna put you over." And then he refuses to face Bret Hart.
The match that never was a King of the Ring. And when we get to the King of the Ring episode, we'll discuss that further.
Yep.
But to conclude this card, let's for anybody who hasn't seen it, let's run it down. Bret Hart loses the title in a matter of seconds, and I've never seen this man run so fast to the ring. Hulk Hogan is automatically at ringside, and never, ever have we ever seen these two even close to in the ring together in all the years that the Harts were there and that Hogan was there.
But you know
all of a sudden now Bret is his friend.
Right. But you know what? Not to cut you off. Do you remember the interview before the match? He challenged
Yes,
the
he made himself the #1 contender.
yeah
I'm challenging Bret
again
Hart or Yokozuna.
again, just like he did in the Royal Rumble in '91 when he challenged Slaughter for the title.
Mm-hmm. He automatically.
Yeah.
You just came back. You lost your WrestleMania match.
Right. Yeah.
Now, mind you, you're back on a losing streak, and you're challenging for the title
Yeah.
when there's several other guys more qualified for this.
Mm-hmm.
But just because you came back, you automatically think you're going to get it. Oh, he did. Mm-hmm. So he's at ringside with Bret, trying to guide him back. And now all of a sudden, Fuji grabs the microphone. He tells him, Hogan, we need 1 second. My Yokozuna issues you a challenge. If you have any intestinal fortitude, and I love Fuji trying to say that because he could barely get it out, you'll accept. And he doesn't want to take it at this time. He's trying to be the bigger man. Trying to be the bigger man.
Yeah.
Now, he says, well, we need 1 more second. We'll put our new WWE title on the line right now. Now, by this point, if you go back and look at it, now you see Yokozuna's got a pissed off look in his face. Because realistically, in real life, he's not happy with this. So he grabs the belt and he actually throws it down. Like he still has it in his hand, but he kind of throws it down in disgust. And now you got Bret Hart telling him, go do it, go do it.
Go Hogan.
And Hogan's looking at the crowd, and the crowd's going nuts. Now again, as
the crowd
back then, we're going nuts too.
Right.
Hogan gets in the ring, you hear Randy Savage, ding, ding. Yokozuna hits him, grabs him. Here comes Fuji with the baby powder again. Hits Yokozuna conveniently. Now, all of a sudden...
In front of the referee. So why didn't the referee disqualify him?
He's holding it. Already started.
Right, the match had already started.
The bell was already wrong.
And Fuji...
Yeah.
And how... Listen.
I agree.
Man, it didn't make any sense. Yoko...
The bell should have already rung.
Oh, Jesus.
Hogan wins by DQ.
Right.
But maybe because he didn't hit Hogan with it. I don't, because technically he didn't make contact with him.
I know,
but still,
the referee doesn't even throw Fuji out. The referee doesn't even tell him.
He didn't do anything.
He's just there,
and then all of a sudden you see Hogan, one clothesline. Yoko's off his feet. I mean, Yoko is bigger than Andre at this point, and you could barely get Andre off with a clothesline if you remember. And so now he clotheslines him. He falls on his back, drops the leg on him. 22 seconds, this match. Hogan becomes a 5-time WWE champion. Now, again, as kids and fans, we were livid.
Right.
I was jumping up and down in my room going, oh, my God, my favorite superstar at the time won the title again.
But it's very temporary. It's very temporary nostalgia. Very temporary, yeah.
Exactly. And if you go later on, you find out this just ruined and crushed Yokozuna because he was absolutely pissed about this because the night that he had it was just taken away from him. And I got to agree.
And Bret was pissed off too.
Yeah. So because the match wasn't going well, and now you find out you're losing. Because for all we know, the original outcome of this was probably, and I agree, Bret was probably going to win. He was going to keep the title, but not to say Yoko would have never gotten the championship. Right. But it just felt like, all right, I want to go from Bret to Hogan being the champion, but I don't want Hogan to face Bret because realistically, I don't think Hogan wanted to get in the ring with him, and obviously it became true because he never gave Bret his rematch at King of the Ring.
He refused him.
So we went from Bret to Yoko. And now we could put the title on Hogan by going from Yoko to Hogan.
Yep.
And I think at King of the Ring 93, we would do the Bret Hart Hulk Hogan match, but instead we get the Yokozuna rematch, and we'll get into that. But in any event, now Hulk Hogan comes back after just being there a month and a loss, mind you. He's the WWE champion.
Yep.
So again, back then as a fan, we're ecstatic. But now looking back at it as we are, and we've done several of these, you go, why? Why did you take this away from this man? I mean, even down the road, if Yoko even kept the title for WrestleMania, if Hogan fights him at King of the Ring, Hogan get a disqualification win over him, not get the belt. But if he's still heading out of there, which the plans apparently were, Hogan doesn't get the belt, but Yoko saves face with it.
Right, exactly.
Yoko gets the loss to Hogan, but by DQ, but he keeps the belt. I just didn't agree with it, especially when Bret didn't get his rematch.
No.
And then Bret still further didn't get his rematch from winning the King of the Ring.
Yeah.
And we'll get into that when we get to the King of the Ring.
Yeah.
So, unfortunately, I'm siding with Bret and Yoko on this one.
Yeah, for sure.
Especially Yokozuna, because the youngster was just it was distraught. You got your whole family there, and they didn't know about this. And I don't even know if he told them, because this was 24 hours prior. Because you remember the documentary on Yokozuna, Roman Reigns goes, and he comes in. And you know who he's talking about.
Yeah, but then Hogan says that he made a mistake, that he was like, oh, yeah, I don't know, I came up with this idea. And Hogan said that he made a mistake.
He could say whatever he wants to save face, but in actuality, he was, back then, he was what Edge is called now, the ultimate opportunist. He saw an opportunity and he ran with it. And I mean, you could try to play the politics and save face on it, but come on, realistically, your time is over. We've got the new generation going. Yoko should have been running with the belt. And again, Hogan could have gotten over on him at the King of the Ring by DQ or by count out and still save face and went on and did his thing. And the kid keeps the belt.
So did Yoko break Andre's record for shortest reign? I guess
no, because I think that was Andre. Didn't they say something like 8 to 12 seconds? Because
he gave it to
DiBiase.
He gave it to DiBiase. But
But I think he goes down in the books as being champion for less than a day, because it wasn't until the day after that they decided to strip him.
Jack Tunney said you can't do that, even though $1 Million Man technically defended the WWF title at a house show.
A house show, yeah, and the belt looked awesome.
Yeah,
we've said that before.
Yeah.
So I think Andre was maybe 18 hours, because it was the next day at the Superstars that they said that we're vacating the WWE Championship.
Right. So
technically you could say this is the shortest reign.
Yeah.
And that's something I don't think this kid should go down for, especially with the track record he had leading up to WrestleMania 9.
The way they built him up and everything.
Look how dominant he was in the Rumble. Takes out Earthquake. Throws Savage out, even though I don't explain this. And when we get to the Rumbles down the road, why Savage, unless they wanted to prove how strong Yokozuna was, why Savage went for the elbow drop and then tries to pin him. And then he launches him up and he goes over the top rope. Maybe they did that to show it, again.
Yeah, that's all it was. Yeah, that's all it was.
The track record Yokozuna had going into this, I just don't agree with the outcome.
No, not at all.
This kid, it was unfortunate. It really was.
What do you think about the card overall, though, as far as the WrestleMania?
Considering the year over year from WrestleMania 8 and how everybody pretty much hit the bricks, and this was the youth movement and the new generation, to start it off, it wasn't bad. It could have been better. In my opinion, it could have been better, because imagine the matches that would have been. We'll get into this when we get to the Warrior thing. We've said that originally the original plan at WrestleMania, Royal Rumble '93 was Bret Hart to defend the title against the Ultimate Warrior.
Mm-hmm.
To me, right there, that's a WrestleMania match in itself. So let's say Warrior was to win the title, and he was supposed to have another championship run before his dismissal in '92. That was the plan. Now he goes to WrestleMania. Imagine him facing Yokozuna, or the original plan. I don't agree with Scott Steiner. Warrior and Yokozuna would have been good, but would Hogan have pulled this same thing?
Yeah, that's the thing. You never know. You
don't know. Especially on the Warrior.
All that stuff that would have changed. I thought this card was okay. It wasn't terrible. I love the visual. Like, I love the way it looked, the gold and the Caesars and the outdoor arena.
And I got nervous as a fan. I got nervous leading up to it, because I'm like, I was telling my friends, what if it rains?
Yeah.
But this is Vegas.
Vegas is very dry. Yeah.
But anytime they have an outdoor event, I'm always like,
there's always that chance.
Yeah. Can they pull this off? Because even, WrestleMania a few years ago in East Rutherford, they had it at the end of March.
Yeah.
28 degrees.
That's right, yeah.
I mean, I'm surprised those guys were able to pull it off. So anytime you have an outdoor one, outdoor doing it for the first time was really good. The card, maybe a little bit better, but not the worst we've seen.
Yeah.
It was decent.
It was all right.
I'd say 5 out of 10.
Yeah. All right. Well, that sums up WrestleMania 9. If you guys let us know what you think about the card, if you enjoyed it, what do you think about Hogan? We'll be doing WrestleMania 10 next. So make sure you guys like, comment, share, and subscribe, and we'll see you guys soon.
Take care, guys.